Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, Coyote in the Highlands. It's a beautiful day to be in a little bit of shade. I've got a blue tarp here while I build the canvas roll-up morning shade blinds, I don't know, thing. So, brought to you by Twitter again, the correspondent today says that an unintended side effect of discovering all this self-therapy and introspective psychological technology stuff is propping up one more time the fantasy, I think, that the hard things in life can be entirely banished away and any suckiness in the world totally interpreted away. And I think that that's a very interesting statement. I'm going to have to keep this here, and then he says that he's not sure that he could have previously owned the fantasy openly. And this is great. This guy, Shen here, this is actually super perfect to talk about. So all of this self-therapy, enlightenment, meditation, self-work, vibe stuff. So brings up a fantasy, or props up a fantasy, that the hard things in life can be entirely banished away and any suckiness in the world can be interpreted away. And I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's the goal. I don't think that's ever been the goal. I understand the point of view. Like, I understand people thinking that or having that fantasy. It's not that sucky things don't happen. It's not that bad events don't happen. It's not that, what's his phrasing? Hard things in life can be banished. It's not that hard things in life can be banished, or the suckiness can be banished away. What it is that those things no longer have a lock, an ownership, a huge impact on you. It's not that bad things don't happen. It's that when bad things happen, you are okay. That's basically the fundamental message here. I really love when we talk about these things in terms of, hey, this is fundamentally okay. Fundamental okayness. I love that way of phrasing it. Bad things happen. You get upset for a minute. Let it go. Back in the 80s, when I was reading, rereading with some friends in high school, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman, the first book. It's the only one that he's written that actually speaks to me at all. Most of the rest is just whatever. And it's a neat story. I took it a little too literally when I was 14 and 15. And we, a group of us were reading it. This is before the internet. Like, you got a copy, you had a copy. You may or may not be able to find another copy. Read it to the point where the binding fell out, and we actually drilled and used Chicago screws and remade the binding and everything. It was a really interesting thing for that period of time. And one of the stories in there, one of the little stories, is that this guy who had a vegan restaurant of raw fruit restaurant where he carved and made art out of the meals and everything, and you slowed down and you ate it, and it was all very artistic and cool, and it was super cool. And then it burned down. Super sucky, right? And the guy he goes, ah, and he's done. And he's back to smiling. He's happy. He's like, yeah. It's not that sucky things don't happen. It's that they don't own you. This was the biggest, probably one of the two biggest messages out of that whole book, was that particular scene where it turns out the guy has cancer and is going to die anyway, whatever, blah. He's just happy. But that's the thing, is that this bad thing happens. His whole life is this restaurant. Well, his whole life is now something else, right? It's not, and his whole life wasn't the restaurant. Obviously, his whole life wasn't the restaurant. It was just something that he was dedicated to doing for that period of time. And it burns down, and he gets really upset, and he just expresses all his rage and his frustration in one primal yop, and it's gone. He's cool. He's fundamentally okay. I like this because people try to think of this as bliss, as joy, as happiness, and it is. You can turn the knob up to 11 periodically. There's waves in enlightenment or self-awareness, and be like, woo, super giddy all the time for a while. But it goes through phases. Bad things happen. And is there a fundamental okayness in the background? If this whole property burns tomorrow and I end up like with a half broken down truck driving to somewhere to sleep in a parking lot with girl, then yeah, that's okay. I can do it. I can do it backpack. In fact, probably what I'll do is if that happened, it would be sell the truck, grab a backpack, catch a Greyhound to the Appalachian Trail, and let's go. Let's do this for 6 months. Whatever. It doesn't, everything is fundamentally okay. All the stuff, the badness, the suckiness, doesn't go away. What you're dealing with these psychotherapies and these self-help therapies and these psychological tricks and all the enlightenment practices and all the meditation and all the awareness and presence, exercises of presence, giving yourself permission to relax, giving yourself permission to be okay. All of this, hello, Bubby, is about... I have been assaulted. Is about being able to maintain your fundamental okayness, okay? It's not about making bad things not happen, Although that is really subject to interpretation. The other side of what this guy says is interpret away suckiness in the world. Suckiness in the world is one of those things where, yeah, a lot of it is perception. Not interpretation, but perception. We're engaged in a huge human game. There's billions of us playing, and there are different roles and different things and different challenges and all of this different stuff in life. And we are programmed to see a lot of suckiness and outrage. And that's to prevent us from having a good, okay life. It's supposed to prevent us from having fundamental okayness. I'm not saying that problems don't exist, but the way they are presented is deliberately designed to fuck you up. Okay? The whole thing about interpreting the suckiness away, that's more of an internal thing, not the world. That's the events, the bad events that happen to you. You can interpret them and perceive them in different ways. And the best way to get rid of that bad feeling is to go ahead and accept and enjoy and move on and adapt and overcome. In the military, there's this whole thing, improvise, adapt, overcome. That's fundamentally a acceptance of reality and an ability to just get past it. Go. It's the same thing, except that with most of the military, the veterans, the people, and this is me, I used to do this, there's a hard-ass attitude toward it. You're not supposed to enjoy it. You're not supposed to be okay with it. You improvise, adapt, overcome, and then be pissed about it at the bar. Well, why be pissed about it? Improvise, adapt, overcome, celebrate. Improvise, adapt, overcome, celebrate. Wow. I'm going to have to put that in my notebook. So that's the thing. I love this. I love that Shen wrote this. This is absolutely fantastic. The fantasy that the hard things in life can be entirely banished. That is a fantasy. I don't think you can banish all the bad things in life, but I think that you can be okay, that you can not let them own you, not let them control you, not let them have space in your head, not let them be mythologized until they take over who you are, even for just a couple hours or a couple of days, Some things are bigger, some things are smaller, some things require a little more processing. There's different brain habits and mental habits, and you may have to dig really deep to get rid of some of those imprints and habits, and that's all okay. That's fine. The big trick is to weaken the hold the mind has on you, the fundamental you. So that's one of the big things. Meditation, a lot. Giving yourself permission to relax, a lot. There's a lot of that. But no, the bad things don't go away. What happens is that you're still okay. You're just fundamentally okay. So remember that and stay sideways.